can proceed with the test ride, and it might just cost you half the price of the bike. So near the seal, it's very dangerous. Silencer, well, it might be your first bike or it might be your dream bike, but when the first time you look at it, that's when I want you to control your emotions, because it is going to look absolutely stunning. And once you fall for it, after that it will be quite difficult to see any shortcomings and you tend to overlook them. So hey guys, welcome back to V Builds. In this episode I'm going to talk about how to inspect a used bike, a used sports bike. To be specific, this is a Kawasaki Ninja 250. Let's begin. Need to test the engine, chassis, tire, battery, chain and a lot of things. I'll just keep explaining how to check each, but there are some basic things. You need to check how many kilometers the bike has been run, and the paperwork, I will let you figure it out by yourself. So while inspecting a bike, there are two types of things you might need to look for. One is absolute rejection, like things that if they are bad, there is no point spending any more time on the bike. And the other ones are cosmetic things, which are not that expensive to replace. Let's say the indicator bulb is fused or something like that. These things you can use to get a bargain, lower the price. And the absolute no-no are like, let's say there is a crack in the chassis, or on acceleration the bike gives out smoke. Things like that, you might want to straight away reject the bike. Don't waste any more time on it, because these can be really expensive to fix. When you start the bike for the first time, you need to look for smoke. Just start it. You see there is no smoke. Any color smoke like white or too dark black smoke or even blue smoke is a very bad sign. That means either your gaskets are leaking or it is burning oil, which is not good. You might want to reject the bike. Next, you accelerate the bike and see for any smoke. No smoke in this one, that's a very good sign. The battery, you just turn it on and start the bike 3 times. First start, started off. Second, okay, and third. So if the bike has difficulty starting for the third time, that means the battery is not in good condition. But if like this one started absolutely fine for all 3 times, so that means the battery is in good shape. Need to see how well the bike idles. So let's say right now it is on idle. I will go and check the RPM. The RPM should be constant and it should not fluctuate. Right here it is at 1500 RPM and it is not fluctuating, so that's a good sign. So this is okay. So the chains can be quite expensive. How you test it is you just pull on the back here, and the play in the chain should not be more than half of the teeth length. So right here in this, the play is very less, so that's a good thing. The chain is in good condition, and also you can see if it is not rusted bad and there's proper lubrication on it, which this one is missing. But otherwise, looking at it, it looks pretty good. Might also want to check these teeth. These should not be worn out and should be in proper shape, all of them. You also need to check the swing arm. This should not have any major dents or cracks, because this can be quite expensive to replace. Also going inside, the swing arm right here looks pretty good. From the front of the bike, first thing you want to look is the tires, because these can be quite expensive to change. So how you look for the tires is you look at this tread wear indicator. This is a small wall inside, if you can see. So when the tread matches with the wall, that means it's time to change the tire. Here we got a lot of tread left, so that means the tire is good and we don't have to change it. Other thing that you can do is match the condition of the tires with the kilometers mentioned in the meter. So let's say for this here, for this bike, it shows 22,000 kilometers on the meter, and the tires usually go for 50. The front tire can even go for 60-70,000 kilometers, and so it matches with the 20,000 kilometers on the meter and the condition of the tire. So that's how you know the meter has not been tempered. So the tire is good. Next thing you want to check is the rim. There should not be any dents in the rim. Here it looks good. Moving on to the brake disc, the only thing that you need to check is the brake disc is uniformly worn out. There are no dents or anything in the brake disc, and that should be good to go. Moving on, you can also check the brake pads. These are wearable items or consumables, as you might say it. So even if they are worn out, just go for a bargain. Nothing big to worry about. So here you see the width of the brake pad is quite good. The next thing is this shocker or strut, whatever you want to say. To check this, just near the seal, you rub your fingers and feel for any oil leakage or anything. If there is no oil leak here, that means the shockers are good. But one more thing which I notice in this bike is that you see this right here is rusted. So if you see this type of rust near the seal, it's very dangerous because it might cut the seal and then you'll have to get them filled up and change this. But since the rusting is only on the top part, this might be because it was parked in sun for a long time. So if you see these types of dots of rusting near the seals, that is something serious. But right now I see it's quite smooth here, so I don't have to worry about those things. So same thing you will check for the other shocker as well. Thing is, you want to inspect the chassis of the bike. So let's say this neck right here, you look for any cracks in the chassis, which is quite dangerous. So let's say the previous owner popped few too many wheelies and it landed too hard on the front tire, so it might even crack the chassis sometime, which is very bad. This is not repairable. Straightforward, go ahead and reject the bike. There is no point spending any more time on that. Another important thing which shows the condition of the bike is the engine oil. So you might want to check that as well. When it is on side stand, it might not show, so just pull it straight. When the bike is centered, you see the engine oil appeared right there. It is up to level and the color of the engine oil is also bright, so that means the engine oil is in good condition. Also need to check the condition of the radiator. The radiator is right there. There should not be any major dents in the radiator. This one looks good. And once you have done that, just check for the coolant as well. Right there you see this tank is what contains the coolant, and at the bottom you might see the color of the coolant is bright greenish. I don't know if you can see properly in the camera or not, but yeah, the coolant is above low and below full, and the color is also bright, so that means the coolant is also good. Is the brake fluid. The brake fluid, you can check it right here. So this is the reserve brake fluid, this is the upper level, and this is the lower level. Right now the brake fluid is above upper level, so that's good. Fluids are pretty easy to top up and they are not so expensive also, but checking them, the motive of checking them is to see how good a care has been taken by the previous owner. So if everything is up to the mark, that means the previous owner was careful, and when it runs on all the fluids, it runs better and there are less chances of wear and tear to the bike. Once you have checked all those critical things, now is the time to check for minor scratches and things like that. So you see on the body here, I see some scratches. On here also below the sticker, the paint is chipped off, and right here on the indicator. So that means the owner had some fun with it. That means he dropped the bike once or twice. But since I don't see any major damages to the chassis, I am just gonna ignore this. Actually, I'm not gonna ignore those. I'll use those scratches to get a very good bargain. I'll try to reduce the price by quite a lot because of these scratches. Well, again, then it depends on how much these bother you. Based on that, you will have to talk to the owner and get a good price. That's done. You can check the headlights, turn it on. It has the running lights, and when you turn on the bike, the headlight should come on. Okay, it has a white LED. This one is not coming on because it just turns on high beam. So let's say When you put high beam, it works, so that means like lights are good. Checking the indicators, right indicator right there, back one also working, and let's see the left indicator. Right, okay, left was already working. Hold on, need to go on the right one. That's the right indicator, that works too. Okay, let's go for a ride. So done with all the checks, now we can proceed with the test ride. Now this is another critical part where you'll get to know a lot of things about the bike, and you can make your decision whether you want to buy this or not. So the most important thing to check for while test riding is the gearbox. So you go through all the gears 1 to 5 or 6, whatever it has. This one has 6, so you go from 1 to 6 slowly and see if the gear shifting is smooth or not. If you feel any jerks, double confirm it. If you feel any noises, any rubbing sounds or any grinding sounds, that's very bad because the gearbox might be short. And then either you get it tested from a mechanic and then make your decision, or just reject the bike, because gearbox, if there are any issues with the gearbox, it is very expensive to fix, and it might just cost you half the price of the bike, so it's not worth it. So as I said, go through the gears once slowly, and the other time you just go through them quickly. And upshifting and downshifting both should be smooth, there should be no jerks. And also, this is the right time to tell you, don't over stress the bike, don't over rev, because it's not your bike yet. You should respect the owner. That's just a disclaimer I want to put there. While testing for the gearbox, you also want to check the clutch. The clutch release should be smooth, and the acceleration in the first gear or any other gear for that sake should be the acceleration should be linear. It should not be like you have to rev a lot for the bike to pick up in first gear. That's a bad sign. That means the clutch has been short. For once, maybe what you can do is dump the clutch. When you dump the clutch, if the RPM increases a lot and the bike doesn't move, the speed doesn't increase, that means the clutch is short. Then again, clutch is also a variable item, so you don't have to reject the bike, but you can negotiate for a better price, because you will have to replace the clutch plates. Now once you are satisfied with the clutch and the gearbox, now you feel for the balance of the bike. Is it good or not? Let's say you're going to 50, 80, and then you just feel if there is any shaking, if there are any vibrations in the bike. So the balance, like the tires, the front wheel and the back wheel, should be aligned. If they are not aligned, you might feel some jerks and all that. So check the balance of the bike, check that the turns are smooth enough. And one last thing, while you are test riding, listen to the sound of the bike. There should not be any weird noises like rubbing sounds or grinding sounds. If there are, just make sure you get to the root of it, what is happening, and then only you make your final decision if you want to buy that or not. So before I wind up the video, there's one more thing I would like to share. Like, if you are researching for a used bike or even a used car, you might have heard that you should go for a cold start. Like, you should check you should try starting the car when it is cold, or the bike when it is cold in the morning, or at least when it is sitting for, let's say, 5-6 hours, so that the engine is completely cold. So there is a very good reason behind that, why we need to do it. So when the engine is cold, the engine oil is not circulating through the engine, and when the engine oil is hot and it is circulated through all of the engine, it hides a lot of sounds. So you might never know, like, everything will be running smooth when the engine oil is hot and in the engine. So when you cold start, you might actually hear some sounds which are not there when the engine is hot. So let's say some grinding, some metal grinding together, or crumbling sounds, or any weird noises which are not engine sounds, that you might hear when you do a cold start. So, and that is the reason why everyone says that you should go for a cold start. I know it is not possible all the time to do it, but whenever it is, it's a good idea to do it. That's a wrap, guys. See you in the next one. Bye bye.
If you like this video, please consider subscribing.